Family serves family, Aunt Patricia directed, thrusting a stained apron toward me while the other Harrison women settled into cushioned chairs with glasses of wine. You're not really a Harrison, Camille. Never will be. Help in the kitchen where you belong. My 8-year-old son Daniel watched me take the apron with wide eyes, his small hand reaching for mine as if to protect me from the humiliation his great-aunt dispensed so casually. But why did I slip that apron over my designer dress without protest? And why did the email notification that buzzed on my phone 30 seconds later cause my lips to curve into a smile I couldn't quite suppress? Ms. Delgado, your company's invoice for the Harrison Family Reunion Catering has been approved, $47,000. Payment will process within 5 business days. Thank you for another exceptional event. Harrison Family Trust Administrator. I tucked my phone away and tied the apron strings. Of course, Aunt Patricia. I'm happy to help. Daniel tugged my sleeve. Mom, why are you letting her? Sometimes, sweetheart, the best response is patience. Watch and learn. I'd married into the Harrison family 11 years ago. My husband Michael was the youngest of 4 brothers. The soft one, according to family lore. He'd chosen architecture over the family investment firm, creativity over capital, passion over profit. His family had never forgiven him for it. By extension, they'd never accepted me. I came from nothing they valued. A working-class family in New Mexico, a culinary degree from a community college, and a career that started washing dishes at a restaurant when I was 16. I had no pedigree, no trust fund, no connections that mattered in their world of country clubs and charitable boards. What I had was talent, and drive, and a business that the Harrisons had been unknowingly supporting for 5 years. Delgado Catering started in my apartment kitchen. After Daniel was born, I'd needed flexible work that let me be present for my son while contributing to our family income. Michael's architecture firm was growing but not yet profitable. We lived carefully, budgeted strictly, and I cooked. I'd always cooked. My grandmother had taught me in her tiny kitchen in Albuquerque, passing down recipes that blended Mexican tradition with American innovation. Food was love in our family, every meal a gift, every dish a story. I started catering small events for Michael's colleagues. Word spread. The small events became larger events. Within 2 years, I'd outgrown the apartment kitchen and rented commercial space. Within 5, Delgado Catering was one of the most sought-after catering companies in the metropolitan area. Our client list included corporate executives, society weddings, charity galas, and, through a delicious twist of irony, the Harrison family. The Harrison Family Trust handled all major event planning. Aunt Patricia, as the self-appointed family matriarch, submitted requirements to the trust administrator, who then contracted vendors. She'd been using Delgado Catering for 5 years without ever knowing who owned it. The invoices went to the trust. The checks came from the trust. My company name appeared on paperwork that Patricia never bothered to read because, in her world, service providers were invisible, necessary but beneath notice. She'd complimented the food at every event. Finally, decent catering, she'd announced at her 70th birthday. Someone at the trust has good taste. She had no idea she was praising her despised nephew's wife. I'd kept the secret deliberately. Not out of shame, out of strategy. I wanted to build my business on merit, not family connection. I wanted success that couldn't be attributed to Harrison influence or dismissed as charity work for the disappointing youngest son's unfortunate wife. And perhaps, somewhere deep down, I wanted ammunition for exactly this moment. The reunion was held at the Harrison family estate in Connecticut. 3 generations gathered annually to celebrate their legacy of wealth, achievement, and carefully maintained superiority. The event required extensive catering, 200 guests over 3 days, multiple meals, cocktail hours, and a formal dinner on the final evening. My company had handled it all. My staff had arrived the previous day to begin preparations. My recipes were being executed in the estate's industrial kitchen at this very moment. And Patricia had just handed me an apron and told me to help. The kitchen was controlled chaos when I entered. My executive chef, Marcus, looked up from his station with barely concealed alarm. Ms. Delgado, what are you doing back here? Apparently I've been assigned to help. Family serves family, according to Aunt Patricia. Marcus's expression cycled through confusion, recognition, and something that looked like outrage. She doesn't know, does she? She's never bothered to learn. None of them have. What do you want me to do? I surveyed my staff. 12 professionals executing a menu I'd designed, using techniques I'd developed, representing a company I'd built from nothing. They were all watching now, uncertain how to respond to their boss being treated like household help. Keep cooking. The food should be perfect regardless of family drama. I smiled. I'll handle the serving. Consider it quality control. The next 4 hours were an exercise in restraint. I carried trays. I refilled drinks. I cleared plates. I did everything Aunt Patricia demanded, executing each task with professional precision, while the Harrison women lounged on the terrace discussing tennis and travel. "More wine, girl," Patricia's sister Eleanor called, snapping her fingers without looking at me. "Of course, ma'am. The crab cakes are excellent," Cousin Vivian commented to no one in particular. "Much better than last year's caterer." "We have the same caterer as last year," I said quietly. "Do we? Well, they've improved then." They hadn't improved. They were exactly the same, my recipes, my training, my standards. Vivian simply hadn't paid attention last year, just as she wasn't paying attention now. Daniel found me during a break. "Mom, this isn't fair. Why are you letting them treat you like this?" "Because their treatment tells me everything about their character, not mine." "But you own the company. You're the boss of all those people in the kitchen." "I am. And right now, I'm choosing to observe how this family behaves when they think no one important is watching." I knelt to his level. "Remember what I always tell you? Character is how you treat people who can't help you." "Exactly. Right now, they think I can't help them. They think I'm nobody. So they're showing me exactly who they really are." "Who are they?" "People who value position over humanity. People who see service as beneath them. People who've never had to work for anything and assume that makes them superior to those who have." "That's sad." "It is sad, sweetheart. It's also useful information." Michael found me in the kitchen during the dinner preparations. "Camille, what the hell is happening? My cousin said you've been serving all afternoon." "Your Aunt Patricia assigned me servant duties. Apparently I'm not really a Harrison." His face darkened. "I'm going to talk to her right now." "No." I caught his arm. "Not yet." "Why not? This is humiliating." "It's not humiliating. It's clarifying." I gestured around the kitchen. "Look where we are, Michael. This is my kitchen. My staff. My food that everyone's been praising all weekend. Your family has been paying me $47,000 for this event alone. They've paid my company over $200,000 in the past 5 years. They don't know. They never bothered to find out. That's the point. They decided who I was the moment you brought me home and never reconsidered. Today they're proving exactly what they think of me." I smiled. "Let them. The revelation will be so much more satisfying." The formal dinner began at 7. 200 Harrisons and their guests filled the estate's grand dining room, seated at tables arranged by family hierarchy. Michael and I were placed at the furthest table from the head, the table for the least important branches, the disappointing children, the inconvenient relatives. Patricia rose to give the traditional welcome speech. "Another year of Harrison excellence," she announced. "Our family continues to thrive because we understand the importance of standards, of tradition, of knowing our place in the world." She continued for 10 minutes, cataloging Harrison achievements while carefully omitting any mention of Michael's architecture firm, which had won 3 industry awards this year, or anything about my existence at all. "And I must commend whoever arranged this year's catering," she concluded. "Truly exceptional. The Harrison standard, as always." I caught Marcus's eye across the room. He raised an eyebrow questioningly. I nodded. The intervention happened between courses. Marcus approached the head table with a leather portfolio, the kind used for formal presentations at corporate events. "Mrs. Harrison, I apologize for the interruption. The catering company wanted to present a small gift to thank the Harrison family for 5 years of partnership." Patricia preened. "How thoughtful. What is it?" "A commemorative menu book, documenting every event we've had the honor of serving, and a personal note from the owner." She opened the portfolio with practiced graciousness, clearly expecting to skim and dismiss. Then she saw the letterhead. DELGADO Catering. Camille Delgado, founder and CEO. Her face went rigid. "I also wanted to personally thank you," I said, rising from my distant table and walking toward the head of the room. 5 years of partnership. Over $200,000 in business. And today, a very educational experience in how the Harrison family treats people they consider beneath them. The room had gone silent. "This is some kind of joke," Patricia stammered. The only joke is that you've been paying me to cater your events for 5 years while treating me like I don't deserve to sit at your table. I kept my voice pleasant, conversational. Every compliment you've given about the food, my recipes, every event that went perfectly, my company, every detail you praised, my standards. You should have told us. Why? So you could treat me with basic human respect? That should have happened regardless of what I do for a living. I looked around the room at 200 stunned faces. I served drinks and cleared plates for 4 hours today because Aunt Patricia decided I wasn't really a Harrison. I'm curious. Does knowing I'm a successful business owner change that? Patricia had no answer. It shouldn't, I continued. Whether I owned a catering company or worked as a dishwasher, which I did for 3 years, starting when I was 16, I deserved basic dignity. Your nephew chose me. Your family welcomed me at a wedding. That should have been enough. Michael stood and joined me. My wife has built something remarkable. Completely on her own, without Harrison money or Harrison connections or Harrison approval. She's created over 40 jobs, served hundreds of events, and earned a reputation for excellence that brought you to her company without any of you even knowing. He looked at his aunt with an expression I'd rarely seen. Cold, final, done. But none of that matters. What matters is how you treated her today when you thought she was nobody. You showed her, and our son, exactly what Harrison values actually are. Michael, we didn't know. You didn't care to know. That's worse. The dinner continued awkwardly. I returned to my table. The food was served, my food prepared by my staff, reflecting my standards. The Harrisons ate in uncomfortable silence, the celebration's energy completely deflated. Several younger family members approached me afterward. I had no idea, Camille. This food is incredible. I've always wanted to learn more about catering. Could I visit your company sometime? My wife and I are getting married next year. Would you be available? The family wasn't monolithic. Some genuinely hadn't known about Patricia's treatment of me. Some had known and been too cowed to intervene. Some were simply curious about the woman who'd been hiding in plain sight. Patricia avoided me entirely. The conversation with Michael's mother happened the next morning. Victoria Harrison was 78, sharp-minded, and had always been warmer to me than the rest of the family, though that warmth had still maintained careful distance. I owe you an apology, she said over coffee. Not just for Patricia's behavior. For all of it. You've never been unkind to me. I've never been welcoming either. I let the family's attitude toward you continue without challenge because it was easier. That's its own kind of cruelty. Why didn't you say anything? Because I'm a coward. Because Patricia controls the family narrative, and opposing her has consequences. Because, she paused. Because I looked at you and saw everything I wished I'd had the courage to become. What do you mean? I had dreams once. Before I married into this family. I wanted to be a painter. But Harrisons don't pursue art, they collect it. So I became what was expected and watched my passion die. She looked at me with something like admiration. You didn't let that happen. You built something despite us, not because of us. It would have been nice to have support. Yes, it would have. I'm sorry you didn't get it. The Harrison family reunions continued, but my role in them transformed. Patricia never apologized, not directly. But she stopped assigning servant duties, stopped making comments about my background, stopped pretending I was invisible. Fear of exposure, perhaps. Or simply the discomfort of having been so publicly wrong. DELGADO Catering no longer serves Harrison events. I declined the contract after that year. Not out of pettiness, but because I no longer needed to prove anything. They'd seen. They knew. What they did with that knowledge was their choice. My company has grown beyond family drama. We've expanded to 3 locations, employ over 60 people, and have been featured in national culinary publications. The success exists independent of Harrison approval, which is exactly how I always wanted it. Daniel asked me about it recently. Mom, do you regret not telling them sooner? About your company? Sometimes. But I learned something important by waiting. What? That their opinion of me was based on nothing. They didn't disrespect me because of who I actually was. They didn't know who I was. They disrespected me because of who they assumed I was. The revelation didn't change me. It just forced them to see clearly. Did they change? Some of them. Your grandmother tries harder now. Your cousins are genuinely curious about the business. But Aunt Patricia? I shrugged. Some people can't admit they were wrong. They'd rather pretend the revelation never happened than reconsider their assumptions. That's sad. It is. But it's also not our problem. We know who we are. We know what we've built. Their failure to see it doesn't diminish it. They handed me an apron because they saw a woman who'd married above her station, who came from nothing, who belonged in service rather than society. They didn't see the company I'd built, the staff I employed, the invoices they'd been paying for 5 years. They saw what they expected to see, and their expectations said everything about them, nothing about me. The $47,000 check processed on schedule. The Harrison Family Trust continued paying for excellence they'd dismissed as impossible from someone like me. And I kept building, kept growing, kept proving that the only approval worth seeking is your own. They served me lessons about who they really were. I served them food that proved who I'd become. We both got exactly what we deserved.